All right, let's get it going. Welcome to the Real Family Time podcast. I'm your host, DJ 00G. We got my family with me today. We got Dad, we got Reggie, we got Neat Butt in the building. Now, I called you Neat Butt, and my kids was like, Dad, why you calling her Neat Butt on the podcast? That's disrespectful. But I've been calling you Neat Butt my whole life, so I got to say it right. We got Bernita in the building. We also got Reggie, Dad, and me, myself. How y'all doing today?
We are good. We are great, and Neat Butt is great. Tell them I'm trying to take my nickname away.
Yeah. Like that. That's embarrassing. She don't want you calling her Neat Butt on the podcast. Nobody listen to the podcast anyway. Don't worry about it. Sorry.
They be listening.
Just all right, in news that nobody cares about, like we like to start every episode with. I just seen a couple of stories. I thought I'd run through them and I get you guys' opinion on them. The first story I told you guys about a little bit earlier was the Bakersfield Police Department is partnering with the safety app to deter crime. So Bakersfield Police Department in California has a partnership with the Neighbors by Ring app to help deter and solve crimes. Basically, without reading the whole story, the police department is now going to be able to just tap into neighbors that are joining this app, just tap into their Ring cameras that they set up at their house to be able to view and possibly deter criminals from committing crimes. Because in the Bakersfield area, I guess now you should know that even when you're breaking into that person's house, the police are watching.
So this is isolated to Bakersfield, or is it just everywhere?
Just Bakersfield Police Department. They're the only ones that have partnered with the Neighbors app. I haven't seen any other units, so I guess it's the first time.
Well, it makes sense because it's from here, so that's why I would assume that the first testers would be out here. So, yeah.
The Neighbors app was made in Cali?
No, I think, what is it? I think it's like an association of another company, and they're all Silicon Valley. So that's what I'm thinking. So, and Silicon Valley is all over here. So, yeah. Anything technology-wise is over here. So I would assume that that's headquarters and all the other stuff is over here.
But any other time the police just ask to see your cameras anyway. So I guess it really ain't no big deal now. It's just, I guess it is a big deal because it's automatically integrated into the systems.
Because once it works for one area, they're going to do it for the other areas automatically. They're just using it as a trial.
Well, it's a big deal because they can look at it anywhere. And to assume that all police officers would only use it for good things and
there you go,
they're all great people, that's a big assumption, especially from their track history. I'm not sure if they got the cleanest. Like, they wouldn't be approved to any apartment if they applied. Trust me. If the police had to apply for anything, they would definitely get denied based off of their history. So, yeah, I don't see it. I don't see that as a good thing at all.
Yeah.
Well, as long as people don't have these cameras on the inside of their house, if it's just the ringtones for the outside, so that doesn't affect your privacy because you're only filming what's going on the street.
Nah, people have them inside and out.
But if you have it inside, you don't need to be given no permission because then that's privacy. That's invading your privacy. So, but if they're connected, they got it. If it's connected with your inside and outside, then, you're giving them everything.
Yeah. Technically, you gave it to them anyways, but they just didn't have so much. They didn't have as easy access. They would have to get a subpoena and get some court orders to get the records. But now if they just got open access, then it's a little bit trouble. But don't think for 1 minute that they don't have access to your Ring video cameras. They just don't have easy access, but they can get it.
Yeah, that's what I said. They got to go through what they got to go through. They might be able to get it. But yeah, like Dad said, because I got cameras on the inside and the outside of my house. So I got cameras on the back door, the front door, the living room. The
snitching on yourself.
So no, really is to watch my kids.
They snitching on him.
Break in, they got come over. I can see what you walked in with, and I can see what you walked out with. It better be the same thing. But yeah, so I just couldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, you know the police.
You guys notice that Alexa does the same thing. If you have Alexa in your house, it records even when you don't tell it to record. And they can tap in and hear everything that was said and send signals and play it back because they store all that data. It was a special when you YouTube it, it does the same thing. So if you have an Alexa in your house or Siri or whatever in your house, it's recording everything you're saying.
I ain't got one of them. I ain't got one.
That's how I turn on my lights.
That's what made me not get one. When I found that out, I was like, oh, I'm
Listen, you have a cell phone. What are you using right now, Nita? What are you using right now? You're using your cell phone, right?
Yeah.
Ain't no difference.
You said what?
There's no difference.
I know.
Technology-wise, if you have a cell phone.
iPhone.
Yeah, there's no difference.
Did anybody else hear Aunt Reggie's Alexa go off right after you said that, though? I heard it start chiming.
No, I got my headphones on, so they didn't hear. But if I say it, Alexa.
Now rewind that back, and
I'm just saying I said it. It wasn't because she said it. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
Oh, she hears what I say too. I bet you if they had to find out what I was saying,
yeah. But for example,
they caught a killer like that, you guys.
Yeah, I know. But this is why I have it though. Alexa, turn off light.
I know that she's very convenient. I like her. I know people that got her, and I wanted one until I heard them say that man went to jail because they heard a whole tussle event going on in his house, and they were able to find out who came in and killed him from Alexa. I was like, oh, she's cold.
Yeah. Alexa, turn on all lights. But yeah, like for me, I have it for my lights. I have it for my closet specifically because my closet, the light switch is behind the door. So you literally have to open the door, close the door, and then go into the switching. So for me,
I can. Who wants to have to open a door? I mean,
no. So for me, it's a little bit easier for me just to be like, yo, let's turn on the lights. Yeah, I know. It's a little snug in there with all my sneakers. So that's what I'm saying. Like I have to literally do all of this to get to the light the way they placed it, and I don't feel like doing it every single time I want to put on a t-shirt.
I just like how he flexed real quick. Said Alexa, all lights off. That was kind of cold. I like.
Oh yeah, so when I'm in bed and I'm laying down, the lights is on.
Lights off. Bernita, lights off.
All right. It's very convenient for me when I'm about to leave the house and I just tell her to turn off all the lights. Or if I'm in bed at 2:00 in the morning and I'm ready to go to sleep, I don't got to get back up and turn the lights off.
You know, you could program her for other places too.
I think that's dope though.
You can connect it to your car if you want. If you got a
you can program her for other places. Because the CEO did it, and that's how he got busted. He forgot it was programmed. He was saying something he shouldn't have when his wife wasn't around, and Alexa said it at the crib.
Oh Lord!
So he was rudely met when he got home with some facts.
But you know, with all of that, I'd say just be careful, right? Like if you're doing something that you ain't got no business doing, don't have them type of things.
I agree.
Period. Otherwise, I ain't worried about it.
So what you gonna hear from me?
Right. You ain't
complaining about something at work.
Right. Exactly. Complain about my kids. You ain't gonna see nothing but what's like playing the game. Right. You ain't gonna see. You ain't worry about it.
Problem is, most people don't plan to do something. It's just spur of the moment or passion or whatever. So they didn't plan to have to cut up their girlfriend. You know, they just see her with this. They just see her with another man, walked in, and all of a sudden, bam, she's all cut up in your house.
Yeah, but you know what you're capable of doing.
No, most people don't.
You don't.
Listen,
most people do not know what they're capable of doing.
Nah, forget that. They ain't denying.
Hey, that brings us right into my next story.
They in denial.
For news that nobody cares about. This is a story about a Louisiana dad that was killed by a teen boy that was sneaking into his house to visit his 14-year-old daughter. So the story is a little deep, but just I'll give you the top story. A Louisiana father, according to People, was killed by a teenager who was sneaking into his home to see his 14-year-old daughter. Now, Desmond Hamilton is 34 years old, and he was confronted the 17-year-old boy around 8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday after the the teen was breaking into the boy home. So it say he used a ladder to get into the little girl's window upstairs. And when he used the ladder, I guess the father caught him. When he caught him, he told the boy to come downstairs. The mother and the grandmother of the little 14-year-old girl took her into the other room, and they was talking to her. The man said, I'm tired of this little boy, because this actually is not the first time that the little boy snuck over to the man's house. And this ain't the only house that the little boy snuck into.
How old is he? You keep saying little boy.
17. So he's 17 years old.
He ain't no little boy.
That's what I was like, little boy.
Right.
You know, well, 17.
Teenager. You say teenager. I can roll with that. I wouldn't say full adult, but I can say teenager.
So,
but when you say little boy, I'm thinking like, what 6-year-old is doing all this activity?
I was even thinking he's 12 and 13 too.
Yeah.
Well, you know, to me, if you a kid, you a kid. But okay, 17-year-old teenager broke into his house, but he broke into the other house they had before, trying to get.
Wait. Who breaks into a house at 8 o'clock on Sunday morning when everybody's home?
That's the first thing I thought about. He snuck out. I think he was sneaking out of the house and got caught at 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't think he was sneaking in at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I'm like, who's sneaking in at 8 o'clock in the morning? That is so stupid.
Yeah.
Not a nan, not a.
So maybe I don't know, maybe the little boy thought they was finna go to church. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, word.
They were to church. It was on Sunday morning.
At 8 o'clock? No. Ain't no church at 8 o'clock in the morning. Unless you're Catholic, they have some services at 8, 9, 10, 11, all day long.
Yeah. I thought he was sneaking out. I did too. So the the teenager and the father went downstairs and they confronted each other. And the teenager shot the father and the father shot the teenager. And the father died in the house, 34 years old. And the teenager is in the hospital. He made it though, he's alive. Yeah, the boy was trying to sneak in there to see the 14-year-old daughter. They both was packing and they started arguing. And, they don't have all the details, but it's just a sad situation.
Yeah, because now she don't got no dad.
Yeah, or no boyfriend.
Right, and the mom and dad the mom ain't got no husband. Grandma ain't got no son.
She gonna live with that guilt for the rest of her life. It's deeper than that. So that's just a story that they told. But obviously it got to be deeper. If this ain't the first house, we don't know what was going on. You know what I'm saying? And this ain't the first time that they done had it. And why the 17-year-old brought a gun to his girlfriend's house?
Yeah, he brought a gun with him. He knew what he thought he was doing anyway. He probably brought it like, yeah, I bet you won't kick me out this time.
Yeah.
She's only 14.
She was 14 years old.
Yeah, he gonna get locked up for she underage. It's the 3-year.
So is he.
Thing.
Yeah, but so is he.
It's a 3-year gap though. So if you're under,
if he's underage, you can't prosecute for statutory. Well, unless he's over 18.
I think it's 16 years old.
For that.
It depends on what state. Because I know in some states 16 is 16. So if he's over 16 and she's under 16,
he's in trouble.
He in trouble. Yeah.
What?
Because
that literally makes no sense.
They just got out of jail for that.
I'm not denying the information he's telling me.
That we all know. Both of them went to jail for that stuff. And they were
don't be talking about we. Ain't got nothing. We ain't got nothing to do with no conversation about statutory rape. I don't know nobody about nothing about that stuff. You can say you know somebody. I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing.
The rules are crazy, but yeah, you can get in trouble with that 3-year difference depending on that age.
It's 31 states that have a 16-year-old age of consent. Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, Connecticut.
What is Minnesota?
Minnesota's 16 years old.
So if you 16 and your girlfriend 15,
you a rat.
You can consent to have sex, but she can't.
Exactly.
So now that you're old enough to have sex, she can't, so you can be charged.
Yeah.
That's serious. That's serious. But yeah.
And they will send you away.
Me and my lady the same age, so I don't know nothing about that. We born both in 83. I don't know nothing about nothing.
I used to tell Robert and Tonio to date older than them. I was so nervous because Tonio always looks older and he's very handsome. And then Robbie was just very people person. Everybody wanted to talk to him. So I used to tell them, date older, date older. Did they listen? When they were younger, at first they did. But then as they got older, no. But that was my thing. I'd be like,
this is a side on track conversation. But I want to be clear, and I don't think a lot of people talk about this, but
it's hard to see you.
The majority.
It's hard to see you, Reggie.
My bad. The majority of males' first sexual experience is with someone over the age of consent. So there's a lot of women pedophiles that we don't talk about. And we don't discuss, and we act like it doesn't matter, whatever the case may be. But there's a lot of women predators out there.
I agree.
That are doing some wild stuff. 20 years old, she 20, 22, you 15, 14. You think you the man because you doing it. Little do you know you messing around with R. Kelly.
R. Kelly.
That's Roberta Kelly.
Yeah.
That is Robert Kelly. That's Roberta
You're
Kelly.
You're actually telling the truth, because men that I have talked to or dated later, as a grown woman, have said that. They were just
I don't know one man.
Was a grown woman.
I don't know if Pops had the same experience, but Aaron, I'm pretty sure when you was 14 or 15, you had an encounter with somebody that was 20 or up, right? Y'all may not have had sex, but
y'all girlfriend was 18 and I was 15.
Okay.
Yeah,
but I'm talking about like usually it's like in their 20s.
Yeah,
the first chick that tried something with me was in her 20s.
She was
I didn't do nothing.
She was 43.
I didn't do anything, but she was ready.
I was 16.
She was 43.
Yes. Messing with Louis Vea. Long story. We ain't gonna get it.
You said 16 and she was 43?
43 years old, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like there's every male that I know has had a situation when they were like 14, 15, or 16 in that area where the woman is either 20 or older. Easy. No, easy. No problem. So like I think it's just
they got problems. I agree.
But usually, like back in the day, the black community, there was never no statutory rape. I mean, black people just never reported. It was just, I got a hard-headed daughter who's messing with an older man, and that's it. I mean, all of my sisters was messing with older men when they were young. Had babies and everything else. Nobody ever said that. Your mom. When she got pregnant, she was only 14 and Mickey was 19. Nobody said there was they never even thought about it until we got older. And then one day your mom was like, hey, that was statutory rape. I'm like, yeah. But her mom never said nothing. No, it just wasn't a thing back then. The black people back rarely called the police for anything because we couldn't trust them. Because you call your police on somebody, then you might know that they might be gone for the rest of their life or dead, so it wasn't a thing, to do that. The only time that, black men are involved with statutory rape is when there's a white girl involved. Then it becomes an issue. And then that's when the parents start, getting mad and say, I know what to do. And they start filing charges and all that stuff.
Right, to get them to not be able to mess with that color guy.
Right, but as far as black on black, I never knew anybody that was charged with statutory rape. And back then, you in high school or just getting out of high school, you going to the girls in the junior high school and high school then, so I mean, but it's a different world today.
Yeah, everybody talks about the kid and the girls in high school getting picked up by the dude with the car,
college graduates.
Everybody thought that was a cool.
But what about the girl who went to high school, but went to college, but they thought she was in college, but she really went to high school.
That's called setting the man up.
Yeah, that happens all the time too. A lot of times men don't ask for ID. We don't ask for no ID.
Yeah, you can.
If you're attracted to her, if you're attracted, then hey, you ain't ask for no ID. No, you like what? How old are you?
The club. I don't think I should be walking around like, excuse me.
So thought it was college graduation because he used to pick me up from the University of Minnesota. So I was like graduating, and he was like, high school? I was like, yeah, I'm post-secondary. We'll talk about. He didn't understand none of that. By that time, it was a wrap. He was already got.
Hey, I did the same thing. Trisha was 17 years old, and she had just turned 17. Her birthday in November 29. I was 20. I was 20 and 17. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I didn't think about it like that. I didn't know.
But y'all did good. Y'all done had kids for years, so y'all didn't.
Yeah, we've been together 20 years.
That don't mean that how it started.
But it started as probably a little too young for me because she was 17, just turned 17 too. I mean, literally, like just turned 17.
Yeah, I mean that's why people say that 2 year gap. Like when you're at that age, it's hard to have that difference. But when there's a legit difference of I'm 15, you're 21. What are you doing? Like that's the type of thing that I'm talking about.
You're
we all have that.
If she was
there's always that little area where it's like 3 years, 3 years, 4 years. All right, cool. 4 years, 3 years. All right, that's fine. But when I'm 15 and you're 21, I'm 22, 23. It's a little bit different.
What about when you're 30 and she's 24?
It doesn't matter at that point.
Don't matter at that point.
So what about when you're 30 and she's 19?
We're talking about development and actually being a kid. Once again, the legal aspect, I don't think you should be dating a 19-year-old at the age of 30 because y'all really ain't got too much in common. But we're talking about legal aspects of, all right, this is real dangerous now. Because there's a difference between like, all right, 3-4 years, all right, cool, no doubt. But when you get into the 5-6 and it's really strained out and you're 13, 14, and you've got somebody that's 22 years old and they got a whole apartment and a car and a house and they talking about, you want some snacks in your lunch? You got a problem. Like, because there's always exceptions to the norm and there's different variations. And like I said, like Dad was saying back in the day, it really wasn't that different because that's what you're supposed to do. Like even if you can go back further, you were 13 and you're supposed to be with a 30-year-old that already has a farm and a house and that's who you're supposed to have your kids. So as we got older, the time difference got different. So we have to apply it to the time frame like Pop said. So we're talking about now because back then there was no difference. But now that we know the difference, now that we understand the difference,
you know better, you do better.
See how it can be bad because it's not the same world. Because back then it was a different world, but this world today is totally different than it was back in 1920 when you had May Sue Lou and she was 13, married to Mr. Johnson.
Don't be telling my daddy ain't no.
It ain't have to go back. You don't even got to go back that far.
I'm not talking about. I'm talking about the 1920s when you actually had someone 13 dating and marrying someone that was 30 that worked a farm. I'm not talking.
Your grandma. Your grandma. Grandma Georgia.
Grandma Georgia did what?
12 when she got married.
She was 12.
And when was that?
12.
And when was that? And when was that?
Like the 20s?
Grandma Georgia was born 1911.
Yeah, so I'm like,
ain't that what I just said?
24, 23, 24.
Like that's what I just said. Yes, the 1920s.
But I'm saying that was your grandma. What was talking about Dad? You wasn't going that far back.
But I'm just saying that time.
Me and your mom, we were living together. She was 17 in high school. I was 22. And we were living together. Yeah. So that would have been a problem.
Today. But not even today, really, when y'all separate. Yeah.
It could be a problem. It depends on the parents.
Yeah.
See, the parents are the ones that makes the difference. How the parents react to it. The kids don't care. It's up to the parents how they're going to react. So back then, that's just the way it was.
But that's why I said it depends on the timing and when it is. Because once again, the things that we did back then, once again, Bernita just said, I was in high school dating Soul. Soul obviously ain't no predator dude, but it's a different environment at a different time. And we know the difference in the world. Like we know the difference of what things are now comparatively. Like, and that's why I put up that clip. I don't know if you saw it or not, but I know Aaron, you saw it. But the economics changed the family structure, and it really is true. And it says like because people were like slavery broke the family. It's economics that broke the family. It's economics that changed the demographic. It's economics that changed what was okay and what wasn't. You had to get married. You had to get a younger wife so she can have a bunch of kids so you can actually take care of the land. So she couldn't be in her 30s getting married and having kids because you can't have 10 kids at 30. But you can have 10 kids if you start at 14 or 15.
Because he told Harpo to beat her.
I don't know. I don't even like that movie, but that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah,
that's what that movie kind of said. That's part of what the movie said. That's the reason why he sold off that daughter.
I don't know what she talking about. She talking about
y'all know
the color purple. Yeah, I'm talking about like the reason why they had kids back then so
in
young
the movie,
with older
Color
men.
Purple, he sold his daughter to the dude because she was a good breeder. He spent her around. You can have a whole bunch of children out here and do this land. And if they can't, you can't because you're ugly.
That was a whack movie, by the way. I just want to let people know. It's a terrible movie. I don't know why people love it so much. It's a terrible story. Like there's nothing good. What was happy about? Like I don't get it.
Nothing.
All my life I had to fight.
We celebrate tragedy. We celebrate terrible movies. But yeah.
Because you was talking about your post. Have you guys seen the story of the 24-year-old black man?
24-year-old?
24-year-old black man. 24-year-old black man and a 61-year-old white woman?
24 and 61.
They in love. Hey, they in love. If you 24, you know what you're doing by then.
All right, I'm finna show y'all right quick. This couple right here.
Wow.
So he look a little weird anyway.
Okay, yeah, it's the same couple.
They blowing up online because of their age difference and how much that they're in love, right?
Are they happy?
They happy.
Okay.
He 24. She's
24 and he want Matilda.
One of those cousins did the same thing. He came to the funeral with her. She was 50 something and he's in his 30s. And she was 60 and he's in his 30s. And it threw everybody off. But
that Social Security come in handy. That Medicare, you ain't got to worry about nothing.
Don't play no games.
I feel like as long as you're old enough, it shouldn't matter the age, but
that's why after a certain age, it's just like
I'm looking for benefits at this age. You got benefits.
So the story is messed up though. Back to the original story, it's messed up that the father and the little boy shot each other. 17 and 14, when you really think about it, ain't that much of an age difference. That's like a 9th grader and a senior, or a 9th and 11th grade. Like they around each other all the time. I don't know. All right.
It was sad that they shot each other, and it was sad that it had to end that way. You definitely understand why the dad didn't want him sneaking in, though. Because you ain't gonna let nobody come over and see baby.
As soon as I read this story, I went and yelled at Ariana for no reason. I'm like, listen, if you ever in your life ever open your window without telling me,
it's going down.
Open your butt. She like, what are you talking about? I'm 6 years old. Hold on.
You gotta nail the window.
I just had that conversation with Daryl because I gave him a ladder and he was about to leave the ladder outside his house. I'm like, you don't ever leave a ladder outside your house, because you're inviting somebody to use that ladder to climb up into your window. Yeah. So if the ladder must have been at the house where the man was, where he was climbing into. So I mean, there's some stupid stuff that we do.
If you go to the backyards, most people have a ladder on the side of their house in the backyard.
It'll be chained up though most of the time. You don't got no unchained. Not in the hood. Do. Maybe in the suburbs, not in the hood.
Suburbs, that's just normal. But they do a lot of things in the suburbs you don't do in the hood. You're not
gonna ride through the hood and find nobody with no ladder outside their house. That's how.
Yeah, that's just ignorant, because you're inviting somebody to be able to climb up to your window. Because most people don't lock their windows on the 2nd, 3rd floor. They're not locked, or they're open.
I had an argument with the landlord because he left a ladder outside my house. It was chained to the house, but he left it out there too long. And I said the same thing, like, why you got this ladder outside my house? You just asking somebody to come up here. You know what I'm saying? It's dark. You just asking for trouble. All right. In other news, this is really big news. And it's also concerning. But when I looked into it, it just made me think. So everybody knows right now, or I don't know if you've heard about the Taliban retaking Afghanistan. And it makes me think about America and the way that we brand and market things, which is the way that we put it out. So automatically when you hear the word Taliban, it's just such negative connotation that comes to it. And I didn't know what the Taliban was. I just hear the name Taliban and you just think bad guys, right? I don't know.
Where we going with this? Where we going? Tread lightly.
And then, so the gang, it's a gang in Minnesota called the Taliban anyway, so it's just bad. So when I hear a Taliban, you just think about this negative stuff. Then I start reading, and the Taliban is just another name for like the Afghanistan country that was the leadership for the Afghanistan that was in place before we came and kicked them out and took over. So it just made me think more and more about it. So the Taliban took over Afghanistan after the United States withdrew all of its troops again. I mean, not again, but after we withdrew our troops from Afghanistan, after 20 years of being in Afghanistan, the Taliban retook control of the government that we tried to sit in place. And I don't know, do you guys know anything about this? Did you hear about it beforehand? Do you know what's going on?
So I watched the news. I watched Biden's rebuttal to it. Supposedly, before, and I took a BC, I had a headache. Trump, when he left, said we all leaving May 1st, period.
May 1st,
hands down. Biden said he had to go along with it because there's no protections for us after May 1st. However, Biden had pre-investment from when he was vice president with Obama, and he wanted to pull him then. We went because of what happened 9/11. They found Obama, they found the dude. Everything got taken care of, but we didn't pull our troops out because their army was so weak, they couldn't stand to guard it and protect it, which would be a weak point for us. They mismanaged them funds. So they spent all that money on training people on how to do military supposedly and investing in them and building them up so that they can take over their own land. But in truth and reality, the people that got the money was people here. We did like we're doing with all the other disaster relief funds and all these other political funds, all this COVID funding. They're charging more administrative fees and more transferring fees and more hiring and training. They're doing all of this so they can get the bread, but nothing is really happening. And now it's time that those people they're supposed to be trained is supposed to kick in, and they can't because they ain't well trained. They don't know what to do. So now they got people grabbing on the outside of helicopters and airplanes and falling to their death because they're trying to get out of there because America is leaving because Biden wants them gone and Trump wanted them gone. So it's over because the deal was been said and he didn't go in there and change and make no more deals.
Yeah.
But nothing really happened. When the government stops just giving money away and expecting people to for really do what they're saying they're going to do and start holding people for real accountable, not just paperwork accountable. I shouldn't be able to look at a piece of paper and say, yes, you did it. Yes, you did it. I should say the proof is in the pudding. Where's the tangible outcomes? And if you don't have that, you don't get this government funding. They need to stop giving that free money away to all the rich people and just using it as a reason to get bread, because this is what's happening in the outcome.
They did give $1 trillion away. So what you're saying do got some validity because they did.
Yeah.
We're not give away.
80, baby, 80.
It just costs a lot of money. It costs a lot of money to.
It was 80 billion.
No, it was $1 trillion.
And now they want to blame Biden. Oh, it's all your fault. You're just leaving them and you're doing this and that. He does have a lot to do with it because he was there for vice president and president. So he got something to do with it. But in addition to him got something to do with it, the way that our politics and our government, the way it's all set up, it's a joke. And then when stuff like this happens, people get mad.
Dad, what you think?
Chickens come home to roost. This is just, I mean, they knew that they were, there's, that's like you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You can't train somebody to be something that they can't be. So regardless of the Taliban was the only people that was holding that country up in the first place, because the people other than the Taliban in that country are weak backbone people that have no desire to fight. They got Muslim heritage, so they're, a peace-loving, supposed to be people that don't have a desire to fight and kill. The Taliban is a stronger Muslim breed that believes in, the reason why they were there, reason why we went in there in the first place, because the Taliban were using it as a training ground for ISIS, for the people that bombed the trade center. So the Taliban used Afghanistan as training grounds. That's the only reason we went in there, was to break up the training ground. And so, but it's not our responsibility to keep the country safe. Because they knew as soon as they pulled out what was going to happen. It ain't like it's a surprise. They knew that they were the only reason that they were out, that they hadn't taken over in the first place. So they knew once they pulled out, it was going to be right back to the way it was before they went in there in the first place. So it was a kind of a waste of time, kind of a waste of money, but it was something that had to be done at the time, because you have to show a show of force after 9/11. We had to do something to show that, you just can't do this to America without having some kind of repercussion. And so that was one of the repercussions. The other one was in Iraq, which was a totally no reason to be in Iraq in the first place, because Iraq had a country, they had an established country, they had an established thing. But just because Bush didn't like the Kingdom of Iraq, that's why we went in there. What they should have been doing was going to Afghanistan in the first place. Yeah. So if they'd have went into Afghanistan in the beginning instead of Iraq, and then and then it would have been a better thing to do. But it was all a jacked up situation. Bush had no idea what he was doing. So they started something that was out of hand from the beginning. So now they're just trying to clean it, trying to get out of it, to stop sending, because all they're doing is putting money down the toilet and flushing it, because people are dying over there for no reason, no purpose. It's another Vietnam, like they say, just people over there trying to do something for other people that don't want to do for themselves. So if they don't want to do it for themselves, then hey, get out. Let them take care of their own country. We ain't the guide of everybody. So how does it benefit our country? It doesn't benefit us in any way possible. The only reason went over there, because they were a Muslim country and we hated Muslims. And because 9/11 was a Muslim jihad kind of deal. So we hate all the Muslims, and we had to show up, sign up for it. So getting out was just inevitable. So there's no easy way to get out. And it's not our responsibility, I don't think, to take care of people that don't want to take care of themselves. So they just have to learn how to deal with the Taliban. And if the Taliban get too tough, go in there, drop a couple bombs and be rid of the whole thing. That's all you gotta do. There ain't no big deal.
That's a little extreme, but all right.
Yeah, that's the only way we win wars.
He going Noah's Ark style.
No, that's
how they ended.
That's Japanese style. That's how we won the war in Japan. That's how we won. That's how you take care of it's a small country of people that are devastating the world. You go in and wipe them out. Big deal. And let the other people get other people a chance. Huh?
I said, how come the UK is still there?
Because they found a way to make something out of it. They're getting something
Because
out
they
of
got
it.
the bombs. No, you said if a small country is destroying the world, you got to drop a bomb on it. And that's why I was like, well, how come the UK is still there? Like they was the ones that started all this.
But they weren't a small country though. The UK is huge. Back then,
size wise, yeah, it's small, but imprint wise, it's big. Yes,
it's small now because everybody had broken off away from them. But back in the day, the UK, they were the stuff. Everybody that they owned half this world almost.
And that's what I was going to go into. Yeah, that's what I was going to go into because that's what's happening in Afghanistan. To me, this is what it is. So if you're not prepared for war, then you're going to get conquered.
Yeah.
But everybody doesn't have the mentality of trying to conquer other people or war. So if I'm a peaceful person, just like everybody else in this country that doesn't believe in guns, if you don't believe in guns and you're a peaceful person, you're like, hey, I'm peaceful. I don't believe in guns. I don't do violence. But them jokers do. You will be conquered by those jokers because they have no problem with the guns. They have no problem with that. And you weren't prepared because that's not your style. So that's what happened. Like the people there, they're not that type of people. The people that they put in charge aren't that type of people. Like Pops was saying, he says they're weak. They're just not that type. They're just not the killing type. Like everybody knows somebody that's not. I'm not a thug type of dude. I'm not that type of person. I'm not gonna be out. You know what I'm trying to say? Like that doesn't mean that that's a bad thing. There's just bad people out there, and if you don't have somebody that has that same mentality on your side, you're going to get ran over. And that's what I was saying with the British, and that's what happened in Afghanistan. Is like when you go to a country and they're like, "Hey man, what's up, man? Welcome. I ain't never met you before." Pow, 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 pow. You're gonna get taken over. It's just gonna happen. So it's not like those people were weak. That's just not that's not their mentality. The mentality was to welcome you in, see what's going on, maybe we can trade and go from there. But the British them people, they was the only people with that mentality of, yo, I'm going to take it. I don't care what you got, son, and we got to be strapped and we got to be ready. So they was there with the guns up and everybody else was playing patty cake trying to see if you wanted next. And that's what's going on now.
And the thing is, a lot of people, you know, and I'm glad you guys answered the way y'all answered because I want to get to this perspective as well. Y'all talking about the killing the Taliban, that's their brothers. Like we talking about Afghanistan, all these people live in the same country, right? So the Taliban isn't somebody different than the people that live in Afghanistan. And the United States of America, let's be clear, we went to 9/11, like Dad said, and we went over there looking for trouble, but also we went looking for Osama bin Laden. That's really why we went and took over the country from Taliban. We were trying to get rid of, find, and kill Osama bin Laden.
But that was until after, years later, we went after Osama bin Laden. We went to Iraq looking for Osama bin Laden.
That's what it is.
Osama bin Laden is the reason for 9/11. And he was hiding in Afghanistan.
Right. So why were we in Iraq?
That's what he's talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
We were in Iraq because Dave Chappelle, check this out.
Saddam Hussein was Iraq.
Dave Chappelle made a skit though, right? So he was being funny about it as the black president when Bush was in charge. So they was like, President, why are we in Iraq? And he was like, you know what? That nigga trying to kill my father. We ain't going out like that. He trying to kill my father. Like, so that's literally why we were there.
Yeah, but Saddam
Hussein tried to kill the first Bush. He tried to kill my father. Yeah, so that's why we was in there. That's the only reason. So Gulf War.
But we've been in Afghanistan for 20 years now, which is the longest war America's ever been involved in.
And it's not even a war. It's just I don't even know what it is.
Like literally what happened was America went to Afghanistan and took over. Yeah. And we've been running it for 20 years. And because we know they're a Muslim, like you said, mostly peaceful country, our military, we run the world. So if we come to your country and say we're gonna take over and this is how it's gonna be ran, and we give you a reason why, there's nothing Afghanistan could do. So we took over to a whole nother country for 20. That's like America going to Mexico. or a smaller country in Mexico. Let's go Peru. We go to Peru and take over for 20 years and then leave. And then say, okay, well, we took over. We gave y'all the government that we want y'all to have. We gave y'all the rules that we want y'all to live by. And, you know, now y'all live your lives the way we told y'all to live your lives. And the people like, hold on, wait, no, this is not what we wanted. This ain't our life. So that's what the Taliban is doing. They said, we want our lives back the way that we want our lives back. We ain't got nothing to do with 9/11. We gonna make sure it don't happen again. Y'all leave, we gonna have our lives. So that was the kind of transition. So America already knew eventually the Taliban would take back over the government when they left. But
I don't believe that stuff about they're going to make sure that 9/11 don't happen again.
That's
they're
a part of the rule. But that was a part of the deal.
You can't stop that.
How you deal? This is what it's just like. If all the security guards left the federal prison system and left the prisoners all to themselves, who do you think would be in charge of that prison? The hardest criminals that are in there would take over that prison. They're sitting right next to each other. You got a lifer on one end, and you got a guy that's just in there for selling weed.
Tax evasion, like I said.
Tax evasion, yeah. But who do you think would take over that prison system if the guards were not there? The guards are there simply to keep the peace between them, to keep the radical prisoners, the killers, and the thugs from taking over the prison system. Right. They will take it over.
You're right. But see, that's my point when I said marketing and branding, right? Because the United States will have us thinking that the Taliban is the radical, the mean, and the prisoners, and that the United States was there to help the people from the Taliban. But the Taliban is the people. That's like America.
Well, didn't we create the Taliban?
No.
Didn't we create the Taliban?
No,
didn't we fund it?
No,
like we
created ISIS.
No,
that's what we created.
The Taliban was already in place in Afghanistan before we ever went to 9/11. The Taliban took over Afghanistan. So Afghanistan had a civil war. So the Taliban is the group that won the civil war in Afghanistan before we ever got there. It ain't had nothing to do with America. So the Taliban was in charge. 19 people took over the airplanes in 9/11, and they came from Al-Qaeda, not even the Taliban. The reason why we mad at the Taliban is because the Taliban held Al-Qaeda and protected them from us. So Al-Qaeda, the leader of Al-Qaeda is Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden was in Afghanistan. Afghanistan was harboring a fugitive. 19 of the people that got on that plane were from Afghanistan, but they were not a part of the Taliban. They were part of Al-Qaeda. So the United States said, Taliban, you holding Al-Qaeda. If you don't give them up, we coming to take over. So the United States went to Afghanistan, took over the whole country, found Osama bin Laden and killed him, and set our own government up in place and took their government down. And for 20 years, we ran our government with an iron fist, and we put the people that we wanted in place from their country that agreed with our rules, manipulators, put them in place. So what happened is when we left, the president of Afghanistan left, and all of their leaders, they left country.
Right.
They abandoned Afghanistan. And that's how the Taliban took back control, because they were already in control before America left.
Okay, so this is what what our dad was talking about and what I was talking about was true though, and I do want you to be clear. The CIA first aligned itself with extremist Islam during the Cold War era. So they helped create Al-Qaeda and ISIS back during the Cold War. And then also Reagan reinforced that back in 1978 and 79. They trying to pass a law against international terrorism, but they were still aligned with them. So they were using Al-Qaeda and ISIS to fight the dirty fights for them. And they started to give them money, and they funneled them money. The CIA specifically started doing that since the Cold War. So that was Russia and things like that with the Soviet Union back then, whatever. But then what happened is that once they got all that money, then it was like, oh, well, we bad now. We good now. Y'all done fed the beast. So now we're gonna take it on our own. So the start, they were never as big and then never as powerful as they are now. So Al Qaeda and ISIS, they were just small little dinky groups.
That's not the Taliban, though. I just want
Right.
that to
And
be
so
clear.
what I'm trying to go into,
group.
so what, right. So I'm just going into the background of how these people came out. And then it goes more into how the Al Qaeda and the Taliban were also cool at one point.
Yeah.
But
Right.
the Taliban is kept the housing. The Taliban housed them, and the Taliban put up. It'll be like this: you got a 5-bedroom house, that's your house, but then some gangbangers move into your house, and you let them stay there, and they start, shooting up people, selling drugs in your house. It's your house. You owned it before they got there. You ain't selling nothing. You ain't doing nothing. But the government gonna come and take your house.
That's what
because
happened.
You're allowing these other people in your house to do all this stuff. And that's why the United States went into Afghanistan. Not because the Taliban was the ones doing all this stuff, but they were allowing these other people to use their land to train and to Osama bin Laden brought in the money. He had the money. And he gave money to the Taliban to allow him to do all that.
And he got that from the United States.
And he got from us. They own, Osama bin Laden's family owns lots of land in the United States right now.
Tons of it.
They own a bunch of land. And all his brothers and sisters, we don't even hear about them. They're all here. They're all here in this land. So, Reagan started he had a friendship with Osama bin Laden's family for a long time. So, that's what, so that's what the Taliban, that's why we went in and took over for the Taliban, because they allowed somebody else to use their property. And so now we're coming out, we're saying, okay, then. And so we were giving the people there, we're saying, okay, now you don't want them to use the land for that, for what, we don't want them to use the land for what they were doing. So we're going to allow you to take over this land, this government. We're going to train you how to be mean, but they don't know how to do that.
It's just not
them. They don't, it's not in their spirit. It's not in their, so as soon as the government, as soon as we left
the people.
Yeah. So as soon as we left, they knew, okay, so that's like I said, in the prison system, you got the tax people in there, running things, doing all this nice stuff, but they know if the security guys left, they would be under the foot of the lifers, of the drug dealers, of the mean people that have the heart to kill, that'll kill you in a heartbeat. So that's kind of like what happened with Afghanistan. The problem was we botched it from the beginning. From the very beginning, if we'd have just said, if we'd have went after Osama bin Laden from the start, before he was able to dig in and settle himself within the mountains and all that, so we waited years later to try to go in and get him. We wasted our time over in Iraq settling a personal war between Bush and Saddam Hussein. So, that's because we botched it from the beginning. Now we're trying to make up by coming out of there and saying, okay, we're going to let them have their country. We're going to let them do this. Well, that should have been, all we had to do was go in there in 2001, kill Osama bin Laden, wipe them out. They had those bomb bunkers going on back then. Wipe them out back then, go on home, and let the Taliban run the country the way they've been doing it. But we didn't.
Right.
So
we right back to the beginning. Just 20 years.
We're right back where we started from.
$1 trillion wasted.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what I again, I go back to marketing and branding, because if you were to look up any of these stories on some of the major networks like CNN or MSNBC or anything like that, the main focus that they talk about is how the Taliban treats women. That's like the 80% of their focus, because they have different religious rules. So the Taliban, the first thing they said was, when the Taliban took control, they made women cover up from head to toe, and women don't have rights, and I mean, it's messed up.
So what was the news story in UK and in the other countries about the United States? We don't treat the black people right. We don't treat our women right. They had the same story about us. The way we treated women, the way we didn't let them vote. We had black slaves. We had black people being oppressed. So that's what they were talking about us. And so how can we talk now about somebody else? We ain't got our own country straight yet. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So it's not the people. This is a problem. It's not the people of the country. It's the people that we elected that's ruling stuff. And we elected some people that don't have any kind of moral compass or character. But they've been in office for 20, 30 years. And so what do? You got to root them out. We need to root out the whole political process and put all new people in there. But that ain't never going to happen because they ain't going to go. Just like Cuomo just retiring as mayor of New York. Well, Cuomo has been in office in New York for 38 of the last 40 years, something like that. So it's been a heritage. Politics are heritages that people don't want to give up. The power, it's the power thing that people don't want to let go of. Because you get the power, the money's coming.
And that's, I think, the wrong thing to go for is the power because it's so fragile, especially nowadays. Like Cuomo got to leave office for sexual harassment. Was he flirting with somebody or something like that? And that's like,
he was being Cuomo.
Yeah, like. And now,
see, but the problem was politics.
The good stuff that he did.
Politics will use him being himself against him. So all he was doing was being himself for years. But the problem is times changed and he didn't. You got to change with the times or else you get stuck. The things that you used to do, you can't do no more.
Right.
You know, that's like I always say to be, you know, for us, there's a lot of things we can't do, you know, even though it's legal, even though it's our right, sometimes we just can't do it. Because if you value your freedom and you value your life, you have to go by a different set of rules until the rules change.
So man, that whole situation is just really crazy. I just want to get y'all opinions on it. I don't know, man. You know, I'm glad we out of there. Let them handle their business the way they want to handle their business. We're gonna keep handling ours the way we handle ours. Let's get to our topic of the day real quick before we get up out of here. It's a real family time podcast. Our topic of the day is Nigeria. Welcome home. Welcome home. We want to welcome two Nigerian transplants.
Can't say two.
What do you mean two?
Yeah, you can't say two.
What do you mean two?
We only have two confirmed.
You confirmed just like the rest of us.
We have the same DNA, literally.
Yeah.
I'm from mom's side. I'm from Bongo and Tenon, okay? I'm from mom's side. No, but yeah, we just got y'all's Ancestry.com results back, Dad and Reggie.
This dude here.
And I just wanted to talk about that because it's really, I think the whole process is super dope. Finding out where you from or possibly where you could be from. Finding out our ancestry, tracing our roots. Not only that, finding out family that's connected. And in Dad's case, I think it's even more special because, you know, not having a relationship with your father, finding out possibly all of these different relatives that you could have, and even finding out whether or not your dad could still be alive, dead, or you know, somebody that he know, or brother, sister. Like, it's just dope. So Dad and Reggie just did the Ancestry.com DNA swaps, right? And I want y'all to tell us a little bit about the process and how it goes.
It's pretty simple. You just spit in the vial and send it to them, and they send you the results back in a couple. Was it like a month or two? And that's really about it.
Send them some clean spit. Don't be eating no tacos and then spitting in the vial. You got to make sure there's some clean spit, or else you'll be waiting a long time.
Well, that's what happened with you.
Yep.
Yeah, so we were supposed to get these results back in June, but somebody was eating tacos, was spitting at the same time.
You said
so the result got delayed. But I don't know, Reggie, could you pull them up for us so we can see the side by side that you sent in the text? I don't know if you're able to do that.
Share screen. Bop. Is that bigger?
Yeah, we can see it.
All right, cool. So yeah, this is so this is myself, and this is Fall.
So we got the side-by-side DNA of the Ancestry.com results for Dad and for Reggie. So Dad is 43% Nigerian, you 35%. So I guess that's pretty good, because shouldn't you almost be half of what he is? So maybe Mom must have a little Nigerian in her, or maybe you just take a lot of Dad's features. I don't know. Do y'all know how you can explain the difference between that 43 and 35? Other than Mom's mix, it got to be. So we got to find out whatever Mom was.
Yeah, it would be Mom's
mix. Because it's a generation behind.
Because the
Cameroon is almost. My father would probably have like 70% because he was Nigerian. My grandpa.
But that means also that Mom is less Nigerian.
She's
probably around like the 20s.
She must be Benin and Togo.
Because that goes up. Mali. So, because my Mali is up, my Togo is up, and everything else is flat.
So before I seen you guys' DNA results, I never heard of half of these countries on this list, right? Well, all the white ones I've heard of. But like Benin and Togo, I heard of that one time before. Mali, I don't even know where that's at. Cameroon, didn't know nothing about that. Western Bantu, I don't know what that is. So I had to look them up, and I looked up on the map, and I seen that they're all right next to each other. All these countries are right next to each other in Africa. And they're in the, what is it called? I'm trying to think of the bay that the Gulf of Guinea. That's where it's at. All of these countries are in the Gulf of Guinea in Africa, which is on the, it would be the western coast of Africa, which made me think even more of slavery, right? So that just really confirms that, you know, we all came like straight from the transatlantic slave trade to America. So our ancestors were definitely slaves. You know, we come from slaves, so we're not coming from people that you know, transplanted to America or any of that. We are definitely descendants of slaves, which actually kind of made me sad when I thought about it. Now the white percentages, the white countries, those you know, Mom is light-skinned.
Oh Lord.
I don't know. Down the line somewhere we had some of that mixed into it. But what did you guys take from your results? You know what I'm saying? I'm just looking at it from outside in. But you know, since both of y'all got the results, I'm pretty sure that if I got results, they'll probably be almost identical to these right here. So what did you guys think of when you actually got the results?
I mean, for me, it was just interesting to see all of this different stuff, because like, and that's why I'm sharing it on the screen now, because like they have things like traits. So like that was the thing for me that was crazy, because you can see different traits that you have based on your DNA. So it talks about your endurance, fitness, and your heart recovery, like literally your muscle fatigue. Like it breaks it down to show you like what your tendency are and where you're at. So mine's is may tire at about an average rate. So it's not like I have some supernatural athletic abilities based on my DNA, that type of stuff. Sprinter gene, like, dude, can I sprint fast? I consider myself pretty fast. And once again, it says I have the sprinter gene. So like it literally will tell you if you can get facial hair or not. I thought that was crazy. Like it even tells you about the my ability to get facial hair. I have thicker facial hair, but also says I had a cliff chin. Yeah, like unless you see me without the beard, you wouldn't even know I had the cliff, like Pops does. I got it from Pops directly. You don't have that, do you, Aaron? The little like the little thing. But yeah, I have the cliff chin, the little booty joint where it looks like the booty on the chin.
Yeah, that is amazing.
Yeah, so it'll literally tell me what I have in there just based off of all that stuff. So I thought I mean, it tells you about your finger length, if your fingers are going to be long, which ones will be longer compared. Like it goes into extreme detail about you and how they came up with that or whatever the case may be. And that was weird to me. Like, I don't need to know what type of earwax type I have, but it tells you what color eyes you have, if you have freckles or not, what color your hair is. Like it goes into extreme detail, but it also like will go into your family tree, and you can just search different things as well.
Oh, when I just read that ring finger may be longer than your index, I'm like, hold on, ain't everybody ring finger longer than their index finger?
No, but mine's are. But it tells me based off of this thing, that's what mine's is.
Yeah, because mine's is definitely longer.
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying? Now I have you looking at your butt like, hold on, wait.
Yeah, like hold on, wait. So you telling me I can run all this weight? I don't need it.
Yeah, but it'll go back to like your story too, like you were saying, and it'll just tell you about like where you're from and who you are and things like that. So when you look at my results, I don't need to take no survey, but it'll just go into my results and it'll just throw into my story, and it'll just say like where I'm from and the things, because I got a little Spain up in me,
Hola, hola, hola.
Now this is that different, that snotty, the snub nose Spain, but it dives into all of it though. It really does. And that's what I thought was cool about it. It'll go into your generic traits, but then it'll also go into this aspect of the different areas where you're from. So when we first got here, it goes into where Virginia and how and where, and then it goes about people that I'm associated with.
Damn.
And it'll just go into the detail. So it says,
no, that is
doing a link free population.
So we came through Virginia.
Right.
And then probably worked our way down south.
And then, like I said, then it transitions over to Mississippi. So then you click on Mississippi and it'll go down that timeline. It says feature matches. So them is cousins.
Look, feature matches. That's dead. That's crazy.
Yeah. See, it shows Pops and it shows that he is the father.
And then
so mine would have been on more like, I told you, Maury. I told you, yeah. It wouldn't have been no running. Yeah, like it just literally goes into detail.
That could be related to you. Now, I think that's dope. Dad, do you know anybody from that area, Louisiana, Mississippi? Or your family may be from that area?
Nope. I don't know nobody down there. I know my brother's down there now. But he just moved there several years ago.
And then it said we migrated over to the Illinois area, but it's not showing that.
Well, that's where the people that I know is from Illinois.
And that's the migration network for most Black families from Mississippi.
But how do you find all that? See, I ain't even looked at half of this stuff on here.
No, there's just too many. Go to the site. It's just so
too many
much
clicks. You got to click on it. Go to this and go to that.
So you can go to your story, your DNA story. So under the DNA tab, you can go to your story and it'll break down the story through lines. I'm not even sure what that is, but we're going to find out now. So yeah, it just talks about your parents and the grandparents and the great-grandparents and the great-great-grandparents and the great-great-great-grandparents. And it just goes down the list.
Hold on,
so it'll tell me.
Hold on, this can tell you what.
So like for mom, it goes to like Pops.
Nathaniel Shaw. Who is Nathaniel Shaw?
That was my grandfather.
That's your grandfather.
Yeah.
So
that's the one he's the one that came from Nigeria.
So this is the grandfather, and this is grandmother, and that's Georgie. But I haven't found anything on her.
Grandma Georgie.
I don't know if we'll ever find anything on. I wasn't able to find anything, but I'll have to go look. But then it goes into Sally.
Lucretia Rose.
Who?
That's a great grandmother on somebody's side, either the mother or the father's side.
So that's Georgie mom or either Lucille mom.
One of the two, yeah.
And then Sally is either Georgie or John.
So it'll go into it. I think if you click on it, you can see how far back it goes. So this is on Dad's side. So Sally,
that must be Nathaniel.
Would have been my grandfather's, great grandfather's
mother.
was Sally. She was born in 1881. So she was, if you look at the time frame, how old was she when she had him?
13.
Exactly. And then, yeah. And then how old was he when he had grandma? You see what I'm saying? So he was older, dude. 39.
Yeah, he was old when he had.
He's 39,
grandma.
not my age. So yeah.
I'm old. I'm about to have a baby at 40. That's an old age to have babies, bro.
Yeah, well, I'm about to be up there with you. So yeah, but I mean, it shows. So this is why they say like that DNA test be telling on people about who their real father is, because I didn't have to do anything. It just told me that's your daddy.
Wow.
So when you do the DNA test and
Yeah,
the
it
whole
just
family
popped up
does
and
that,
said, yeah.
it shows that 50% of my DNA is from him, and it just goes from there. So yeah, it's pretty cool, man. It just breaks it down everything. It just goes into the whole little thing, and it just goes into so many different details. So like Dad said, there's just so much. Like sometimes I'll just sit there and I'll be on it for hours. Because like I said, they just updated stuff. So they just add new stuff all the time. And then you can get something where you can see other people's stuff as well, like the free trial. Then that's when you can really dive into actually getting paperwork and birth certificates and marriage certificates and
And
stuff
seeing
like
this is
that.
only based on the people that have participated in
Yes.
ancestry. So there's a whole lot of other people out there that ain't in here
23
because,
and me, and I don't know
you
if they
know,
joined them. Yeah.
that has not been involved. But I think this is one of the largest databases,
Mm-hmm.
the ancestry database, because it's the most popular.
Yeah. But yeah, it just lets you get records and stuff like that. It has access to a lot of different, to be able to pull a lot of different actual records. So you can see when somebody got married or divorced, or when they bought something, or when they purchased. Like it will pop up everything, but you have to pay for that stuff. I just got the normal DNA test so I can see where I'm from and then do it. I'm not about to be trying to pay for no extra, but you can, and you can deep dive and you can go really into your history. So when they be talking about, well, how will we know about reparations? I already got my ticket. I'm cool. I ain't got to wait. I ain't got to worry about nothing. Go on, give me my paper.
Right.
Go on, give it to me. I'm cool.
Straight from there.
So we got to get our reparations, but I don't know about the rest of y'all. But yeah, I thought it was cool. It just goes into real good detail. It goes into a whole bunch of different stories. It goes into a whole bunch of different.
Dad's mother was that's 1880s. Like so so I know they say that your grandfather was from Nigeria, but he might not have been from Nigeria. His might have just been Nigerian.
Yeah. I don't think he lived there, but he just, that was his background.
He might have been like the first generation American. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and then they'll just help you, like, it'll just help start filling out all this stuff, and they'll just start going down the line.
Yeah, because these people, John Covington, that's definitely an American name. So we definitely from slaves. We not from there.
That ain't us.
So yeah, so what I see is my grandfather's father was Elmer Claypool.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
so
Sally, you got even a different one than Aaron.
No,
well, he's able to, because his
Sally
here.
So that's what Reggie was looking at. Sally, that's my father's mother. That's, I mean, my grandfather's mother. Nathaniel Shaw's mother was Sally.
Right.
And her husband was Elmer Claypool. So they don't have much about him.
But see, now with this, you can actually, like Reggie said, go into a deep dive and literally find out
with the through line
where you from. You could get your own roots. Like we could do our own roots.
Yeah, because somebody contacted me.
Look, he was born in 1873. That's during slavery.
Yeah, somebody contacted me through DNA and asked, did I have any people in Arkansas? And I'm like, I don't know nobody in Arkansas. But when I look at this, that's where my great grandfather, he was from Arkansas.
Don't your sister live in Arkansas? No, she live in Oklahoma.
No, she lived in Texas.
She moved to Texas. Sini moved to Texas?
Yeah. So he was from Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
Oh.
Because this lady was telling me, one of the people that are one of the cousins or something, she said, yeah, I just have people in Arkansas. And is any of that familiar with you? I'm like, no, I don't know none of them people. Because I haven't been looking at this thing. I'm like, this takes up too much work. It takes up a lot of time and a lot of work.
You start to dive in deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wow. Wow, that's amazing.
I thought it was cool. It just comes up and just a lot of different stuff. And it comes with an app and the phone. That's what I'm trying to pull up now. But yeah, it's just a lot of different stuff, man. A lot.
Man, I'm finna do that. I'm finna do the ancestry. I'm finna do it. I'm finna make Trisha do it too. I'm finna because that's interesting to me because yeah, like you said, we can not to know, but just to know, just to have that information, just to have that knowledge. Just
tell me what email to send it to so you can get a discount.
A bigger thing.
Okay. Yeah, so just send so yeah, because when you refer, they make it cheaper. Because if you because when I did it by myself, it was like $100. So if you refer, I think you get like $10-20 off or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna just send you. I'm gonna email you. I'm gonna text you right now.
Yep.
All right, this is the Real Family Time Therapy pot.
You don't know what you want to say.
It's the Real Family Time podcast. It's DJ Double OG. We got Dad. We got Are You Serious? We got whatever else I'm mumbling out my mouth. That was the DNA. All right. Do we got any last words before we get up out of here today?
Man, I'll see you when I get back.
Everybody do Ancestry DNA so we can all hook up each other. Because the more people get on Ancestry, the more information we'll be able to get.
Hold on, we need to add for that. Wait just a minute. Don't be promoting them too much now. We need to, hey, y'all, we talk to you, you talk to us, we can make this work.
Right, make this work, right. It's ancestry.dna.org. All right, it's
I need to find my daddy.
That's crazy because you can literally, and you might be able to find this. You might be able to find them out. Like,
or a lot of dudes better not do it because that child support.
Them children to start popping up out of nowhere.
Now that child support start popping up out of nowhere. Somebody told you he was yours.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's another element that I didn't even get into, but yeah, you can find out literally
anybody that's done it. You'll see their family members.
Like Dad never met his father. My mom never met her father. It's a lot of people on earth that never met their dad and spent time with him, heard stories about who he could be, but they don't really know. We just had this
wanted to make sure I didn't see my because LaShawn did it. I was just making sure she wasn't on none of that. And she ain't, so we cool.
What country she from?
We good.
What country is she from? Do you know?
The same. Basically.
Okay.
It's the only one that she doesn't have is she switched out Spain, just basically dads. That's what she has. Okay. But her percentage for the white are a little bit higher.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. All right, well, I don't got no words for the end of the day, man. Just make sure, like you said, try to find out as much information as you can. My favorite girl been chilling with me, sidekicking the podcast. Say hi.
Hey, Ariana.
The princess of the family. What's going on?
Sitting here playing Fortnite, chilling.
Oh Lord, you got good kids. Let's talk about that before we get off. That's my final word. Aaron has kids that can just sit down and be. Yeah. I don't think you understand how blessed you are, and it also says what good parenting to the degree that you've done to, like, because some of these kids, they be listen.
Yeah,
they just be out here. You can't take them nowhere. Your kids, you can take them. They just be chilling. AJ just be sitting there chilling.
Yeah, you gotta teach them the time and a place. You gotta give them a chance to go crazy, but in the right situations. And then when it's not the right, you need to act like you got some sense, or you're gonna meet Jack and Hammer.
Jack and Hammer. That's where Trish come in. You gonna hug them. Don't hit my babies.
All right, hold on. Don't say it, no. Right, I'll never hit you.
See? Look at her. She's like, he don't be doing none of that.
Yeah, I really am this awful too. All right. I love y'all.
All right,
We
man.
out of here for the
Love
day.
you. Peace out.
I'll see y'all later. I'm gonna post it up.
Yep.
Yeah, bye. Love you.
Love y'all.